I realized that like who is a race car in construction industry, and this is McDonald's. McDonald's built like 40,000 restaurants, all the similar, all the like cookie cutter, all that standards and playbook that they follow. This is the most structured data in construction. And I realized that AI probably should be like first implemented to automate repeatable standard construction projects. And then it could be scaled for building like one-offs like Burj Khalifa or Empire State Building.
I came to graduate school never having used any AI. Like, it's not for me. I'm not a tech person. But everyone else was talking about AI and how they're using it in their lives already. And I just was thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Why am I even in school? If AI is just going to take all of our jobs. But the thing is, AI is not going to take our job. It's the people who use AI. If you're opening even one store, it's 100 moving parts that have to stay perfectly in sync. And across a rollout of sometimes hundreds of stores, that's tens of thousands of milestones and items that all have to work together. And if any one of those pieces falls out of track, you're losing time, you're losing capital, revenue, revenue, all of the things. It's a problem.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks and Bytes podcast, where we dive into construction and AEC technology. Before we get started though, if you're a startup founder or operator responsible for innovation in your company, or you want a deeper, more insightful look into technology in AEC, you won't want to miss our newsletter. From deep dives into particular technologies such as AI, robotics, design, software, and so on. Hot takes from investors betting big in AEC technology, and advice on building tech companies, including the stories and takeaways of the most successful AEC technology founders. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get this exclusive material straight to your inbox. And now for the episode. In construction, precision matters. Every budget line, every schedule, every document. But too often, project data is scattered across tools and departments, creating risky silos. That's where ArcDesk comes in. ArcDesk is the all-in-one construction management platform designed to connect your entire project operation, from opportunity through to tender, all the way to handover. With real-time dashboards, cost control, scheduling, procurement, and document management in one place, ArcDesk gives you complete visibility and control. Trusted by contractors, subcontractors, and asset owners worldwide, ArcDesk has powered landmark projects from shopping centers to Europe's tallest buildings. If you're ready to reduce risk, protect your margins, and deliver projects with confidence, discover ArcDesk today. Visit arcdesk.com, that's ARCH desk.com, and see how leading firms are building smarter with ArcDesk. Major construction projects are complex, and delivery leaders know that things rarely go to plan. The problem is that most teams don't see what's slipping or why until it's too late. The best construction leaders know that in order to deliver on schedule, everyone needs to be planning together, committing to targets, and tracking performance every day. By bringing look-aheads, weekly work plans, visual staging diagrams, and daily activity briefings into one multiplayer platform, Afex gives the world's leading projects a single place to plan and coordinate their work. Join the largest contractors across Europe, the UK, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Learn more at afex.co. That's aphex.co.
Okay, so today we have Genevieve and Alim from Surfaice.
Yes.
Hi, both.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, how did you get together working on Surfaice? Maybe once Genevieve is sorting the dog, Alim, maybe if you can start and give us a little bit of a background.
Shortly, so I'm Alim Uderbekov. I'm the CEO and founder of Surfaice. So my background shortly, I am engineer, aerospace engineer by degree. So I'm responsible here at Surfaice for the whole engineering and product development. I actually work on the International Space Station mission control team, and one of the first software I wrote was like our satellite trajectory optimization system. Then I spent some time in corporate career integrating, implementing Oracle systems. I was part of KPMG, IT advisory team, McKinsey, and I am an entrepreneur. I think like last 12 years, I was building construction tech companies. One of my biggest companies that I built was construction material marketplace that was eventually acquired by one of our strategic investors. So we built from scratch to 140 employees, built our own warehouses, first mile, last mile delivery, and I was the CEO and solo founder of that company. And I always was passionate. All the companies that I built was in construction because my dad is construction engineer. So asking about like why I decided to work on Surfaice, I was always super excited to bring like more efficiency in the construction industry. Because starting from 5 years old, my dad was always like taking me with on a job site, and I was looking into that what's happening up there on the job site, and I always like wondering why we're using Autodesk products, way advanced products like 3D Max, and what the mess happening on the job site. Why it's like so inefficient. So that was like kind of my mission, and I realized when
Did you find the answer or still
yeah,
searching?
it's like lifetime goal and mission. So I believe you always have to like a lot of things to improve. It's like Japanese culture ikigai, yeah. So this is what I'm trying to stick to. But the beauty of like why we decided to work on Surface, when I first like saw like AI system agents LLMs on the market, it's like, wait a minute, this is a new tech. We never seen that before. It definitely disrupt all the like everything, all the markets. And it was like early 2022 or 23. It's like a first GPT models, it's first DALI models. And I start like, trying to apply that to construction industry. But with all my experience, I quickly realized that AI is a system that's bring efficiency. But who is like the type of customer who wants efficiency the most, who like require that most efficiency? And I realized that like who is a race car in construction industry, and this is McDonald's. McDonald's built like 40,000 restaurants, all the similar, all the like cookie cutter, all that standards and playbook that they follow. This is the most structured data in construction. And I realized that AI probably should be like first implemented to automate repeatable standard construction projects. And then it could be scaled for building like one-offs like Burj Khalifa or Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Or even think I like human love to build like, unique construction projects. So I'd love like, to keep that on human, but all that standard infrastructure projects could be automated by AI.
And simultaneously, Genevieve somewhere else on the globe was thinking about something similar. And tell us about how your Genevieve, what's your background and how did you meet? Tell us about this meeting at the beach.
Yes. So I'm Genevieve Davis. I've been in this industry, store development, for 20 years. It's a $300 billion industry here in the United States. And I've had the privilege of working for several big retailers. I started out in architecture, moved to store design and construction at Kate Spade, New York, and then worked my way up all the way to a VP and senior executive at 7-Eleven, where I led store development for US and Canada. I had left my corporate career a couple of years ago to go back to school and get my MBA at Kellogg. And when I got there, so our industry doesn't use a lot of technology. I joined the company in 2016 and introduced Excel and got Employee of the Year. So that tells you a little bit about, the state of technology in this industry. So I came to graduate school never having used any AI. Like, it's not for me. I'm not a tech person. But everyone else was talking about AI and how they're using it in their lives already. And I just was thinking like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Why am I even in school? If AI is just going to take all of our jobs. But the thing is, AI is not going to take our job. It's the people who use AI. And so luckily, Alim reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me if I wanted to talk about AI and store development. And normally I would have said no, because what do I know about AI? But lucky for me, he wanted to talk about the AI piece and wanted me to talk about the store development piece, which I'm an expert in that piece. So we had a couple of phone calls that went really well. One call led to another. And then Alim asked me if I would come out to LA, where he was living at the time, to workshop with him. And pretty funny, he said, like, the night before I was flying out, he was like, oh, and don't forget to bring your bathing suit. And I thought, that's kind of a weird thing to say. But I was like, okay, I'll bring my bathing suit. And then sure enough, we had like a great working session. Then we went to the beach. We ended up talking for like 4 hours at the beach in California. It was just one of those like, conversations where, the stars align and we just were in sync and realized, this is such a huge market, such a huge opportunity filled with people like me who've never used AI before. And we can really, really help these people. So that's how we connected, and that's how we started working together.
Great. Okay, so now we have a Surfaice, and what's the core idea behind the Surfaice? So you guys mentioned store development, automations. Let's start from repetitive projects that repeat very often, and that's, I guess, that's the core. Can you elaborate what does the industry do right
Yeah.
now and what it needs?
I'd be happy to take this one. So right now, this industry, so if you're opening even one store, it's 100 moving parts that have to stay perfectly in sync. And across a rollout of sometimes hundreds of stores, that's tens of thousands of milestones and items that all have to work together. And if any one of those pieces falls out of track, you're losing time, you're losing capital, revenue, revenue, all of the things. It's a problem. So right now, all of this data is being managed on Excel spreadsheets, Smartsheet, people's emails, and different various systems that are purpose-built but don't talk to one another. They all are for one task. So that's the real problem here is that people they don't have clean access to their data. They have multiple sources of the truth. And that's what we do here is we take all of those different data sources and we bring them together, create structure, and layer A on top. Alim, did you want to add to that?
And if you think about like software in construction industry, it's mostly very horizontal. We have software to calculate budget, we have software to calculate schedules, we have software for the bidding, and usually that software is scaled across the different industries. So for example, McDonald's team might be using building connected from Autodesk and some general contractor in a higher could be also like using like building connected. So it's it's a horizontal software. But with AI, I think that the code become a commodity. It was before that like writing code was like extremely expensive. So that's why you need to write everything like for everyone. But with AI, it's like changing so far, like so quickly. And that's why so I'm based in Palo Alto now, in Silicon Valley, is talking about vertically integrated AI. It's mean that AI should focus like building AI products should be more look like human rather than more look like software. Because for example, I always used to say like a project manager who like 20 years building McDonald's stores can easily pivot himself to start building Starbucks because he has like that knowledge graph. He know how to do that. So the same, we're creating like AI agents that know how to do the multitasking, how to calculate budget, how to calculate I don't know schedule, how to create like all that communications. So all that things, it's like should be vertically integrated and train AI how to specifically build one type of store or programs.
And all of this optimization of the workflow, is it you're using agents or like how are you doing?
So we are doing great from this perspective. I feel that AI space is evolving super fast. So for example, we started from super.
So maybe to ask better question. So there's a lot of there's a few companies which would help you or help someone to read the data, to find the data faster, and that's a huge benefit of having those. But then are you doing any step further? So instead of just getting the data faster to someone who is performing these tasks, are you helping them to action those, or maybe your agents are doing these tasks in any way?
Yeah, exactly. So as Genevieve told, like from one perspective, we connect with all the data and do quickly find all that information through that data. So for example, you can say like, what was the last signed contract on my project in San Francisco. So an AI will find that specific document, or even like what's happened in that document, like what was a construction allowance in our lease agreement. But from other perspective, we train skills, and this is, I think, what's like the future of AI agents. So based on existing playbooks, we train how AI should be like execute different workflows, like commands. For example, if you like ask ChatGPT, say like, hey, I want to order a site survey for my new projects at San Francisco again. And AI said like, sure, I can help you with that, but I don't know exactly what is like your meaning for. But once we train that agent and and create that skill, so AI knows that, oh, I know what to do. We have like one specific table with all the potential sites that we're considering right now. I need to go in that table, try to find all the future projects, and then find all the information about tenant coordinator, like the status of the site. And then once I gathered all that information, I will create in email and create the new order for site survey. So now AI trained how to execute this workflow. So this we call it skills. And to make that happen, AI agents should be like reasoning agents. It should be the agent who can self-reflect, self-learn how to execute that task. And that's what we are building.
That's very interesting in the sense that who will be then approving these tasks executed by an agent? How do you see this being executed? Like control over what the agents are performing.
So in construction industry, accuracy is very important. So building product is not about applying technology. It's also the art of how you create the combination of human and technology. For example, in some case, we prefer to fully delegate the task for AI. That tasks we see there is no much thing to human to do with that task, and there is not that much problem if AI will fail in 1%. But in some tasks, for example, you can for sure put that human in a loop who will validate the answer, validate the information, validate how good AI is and extracting that data. So we always, this is part of the skills, this is part of the playbook when we program AI, saying when you do this, please before publishing all anything, get the confirmation from the user. So that's why that's how we're building that system.
And what's your estimate in terms of how much savings on time, on costs will you provide?
So for example, with one of our customer, we just recently talked about and asked what's estimation, how that is impact on your on your daily life. And she said that it saves 15 hours a week already. And this is
That's per person.
yeah, that's per person. And this is
across a team
only
of hundreds of
per.
people. Yeah.
So we see a huge impact. And one of our first customer that we start working was it was a real estate broker, specifically focused on the site search for the brands like Tesla, UPS, Amazon. And we saw it was 15x within just 6 months of working of AI agent versus the rest of the team. So some of the process could be hugely disrupted by AI.
So your platform also helps with the site search? Okay, so it's really from the scratch of the process to what, to
We
completion of
really
the.
support. So the internal team, it typically is, real estate, then design, architecture, entitlements, construction, and we support the whole life cycle of that project. So what we see is the most powerful benefits you get, the biggest impact is when you have all of your data, in your data lake, so it can be accessed. So all of your projects and then all of your team members. So it's really meaningful, that, when we talk about saving up to 15 hours a week per person, these teams, like at 7-Eleven, it was 1,000-person team. So that is so huge to be able to save that amount of time and be able to get people focused on what they actually need to be focused on and what they want to be focused on, and building stores, interacting with other humans, all of the creative and complex work that people like to do. And then we're able to then, support in all these other ways.
So
Right.
how does the future like within this niche of store development? Like if someone wants to build a store, they would say, build me a store in New York in this street, and then the agents are starting to work, and like is this the
Yeah,
future?
this is like always our conversation between me and Genevieve, to be honest. So this is the future that I'm trying to build. And Genevieve, she's also like always pro-human person at Surface. So she is like saying like, Alim, yes, that's great vision, but I know that there's a lot of like, tasks,
Touchpoints.
touch points
Yeah.
that should be still on humans. And yeah, so this is like the big vision where we're going to. And we're going to roll out like, someday, I don't know when, but I'm still believe that like, yeah, there's could be engineers, like store development engineers, who is actually like, instead of like working with like all that papers and doing like, manual tasks, will think about like how re-engineer the store better. So for example, I was attending on one of the like, internal call with our customer where they discuss the store. And I feel that they discuss like, a lot of things like what's the deadline, what's like why we don't like, get the construction drawings, all that things. But like 20% of that conversation was really insightful. They were thinking about like how we need to
20% was really insightful.
I mean like because yes, and that's a true. I mean like
Yeah, I know. I'll go to the construction meetings every week, and I know that 20% to be insightful is a success.
yeah. But the thing is like about okay, that's
You can
insight.
just delivery.
That's okay.
So,
I'll mute you.
so the thing about the 20% insightful part, it was that guys was talking about not milestone, they're talking about the product. And the product, they saw like how we need to like change like our electrician, like, system to make people see the product better. How we need to like, to support that, like how we need to think lighting system. So all that things that like, make the store way much more comfortable place, way much more like the better place to people to visit. So what I feel that eventually store development should be delegated to AI. But the way how it built, how it designed, what's happening inside there, how the guy, like the person, the customer, feel himself in that store, this is way much more important.
I like to use the example too. Normally at these, when I'm working at a brand, I'll have maybe 9 or 10 project managers with one assistant to support them. When I was at 7-Eleven, I had 80 project managers with 30 support people, so much higher ratio. And what I saw was that those project managers were managing twice the number of projects, even though these projects were way more complicated. Like, we were putting fuel tanks in the ground, we're moving dirt, we're, doing all this stuff, but because they had the administrative support. And so not everybody can afford, most people cannot afford to hire a massive administrative team to support their project managers. So the project managers are then spending all their time doing this work. And the project managers are very highly paid people. So it would be great to have them just doing the work that they need to do, managing twice as many projects, and having somebody else or AI managing all of this admin work for them. And so that's what I know. Alim and I, I'm the human person. I've personally done this job myself. So, I don't like to say that I could be replaced by AI. I think that there's a lot of value that the humans still need to, there's still going to be negotiations. There's still going to be, crazy things that happen on the job site that it requires somebody who to think fast and like solve problems. But all of the things that are repeatable, that are predictable, or, data-based behind the computer, all of that can be done by AI now.
I actually really like this chemistry when Alim is super focused on automating everything, and Genevieve, you know that there's these human touch points that needs to be there. Can you tell me more about those, Genevieve? Like why there are certain areas within software platform that need to require human touch point. My guess is, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my guess is that people want to be part of things when they just don't want things to be generated completely automatically,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no trust. Simply, they need to have
Mm-hmm.
certain points of approval and be part of it. Would you agree? And what are your thoughts, maybe more broadly?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for example, like bidding a project, there's a lot that AI can do for that. But do you want AI to pick your bidders without you having any input? No, like AI will give you a list of bidders that it's going to recommend based on past performance, current bandwidth, geography, a number of criteria. But I still want to pick who I'm bidding to because maybe I know somebody said something or I heard something or whatever. I want to know who I'm bidding to. So that's one touch point where the human would be there. Now, AI can put together the bid package. AI can field the RFIs. AI can collect the submittals. It can analyze them, level set them. But then again, you're not going to have AI negotiate with the contractor for you. You know, you're going to then have the conversation with your contractor and you're going to have that negotiation on the phone, really getting a feel for the person and making sure that you're getting, you know, a good deal, a fair deal. So, and then from there, of course, then AI can take over and create the contract, process it for routing and approvals. But the whole process, you know, you're not going to hand it over to AI and say, here's the issue for bid set. Now pick me a contractor. You still need to have some humans there, you know, thinking it through. And because we're talking about building things in the physical world. So you need to have, you know, you need to have some touch points.
Mm-hmm. Yes, when Alim described it as a kind of automated process, there's some concept in my head that comes from the past. So we were at some point in the past thinking about business model as a service. So you guys seems like you're trying to sell to people a business model which is very nicely packaged, which helps them deliver the outcome. Yeah, is that correct?
This is like where we're focusing on, like where you pay like per project per month. So it's the same as you like adding a system project manager, but it's cheaper. It's like work 24/7. It have a less error rate. Yes, so this is where we actually focusing on, and because we eventually believe you don't want to pay for like for software. What you want to pay, you want to pay to like store build. You want to pay for the like completed project. So this is what we actually believe in. And with AI, eventually the system is like going in that way that you should be part of ROI then. If you help with a site search, you
Yeah.
should say like, yeah, I will open like so my kind of vision will be like for the AI, you can say like, for example, Martin, you have a coffee shop. You really believe in your coffee shop. You know, like this is best coffee that anyone can buy in England. And you just like, log in into the Surface, upload your playbooks, upload all that information about your coffee shop, and you just like type open all the coffee shop in UK, like until the ROI is like higher than like 125%. And AI will start, okay, I'm initiating rollout of all that like coffee shops that you are building.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
And
kind of the vision.
I want to emphasize something that Alim touched on there, that this is so typically like you're in this you're a leader in store development. You can't hire more people because that's your SG&A budget, and you can't get a new software because you're going to have to wait for IT approval and IT funding. We've specifically positioned ourselves as an external project management assistant, similar to CBRE, JLL, any sort of project management firm, that these people are already capitalizing against their projects. So they're already able to capitalize their third-party project managers, and we're a digital third-party project manager. So that's really exciting for people because that means that they're able to start working with us in a matter of weeks without having to go through a whole bunch of approvals. It makes it really it makes it really easy for people to get on board. And for me, that is my biggest goal, is just to get on board and helping people, because I've been in that situation and I know how tough it is.
Okay, we'll chat about go-to-market in a second. I wanted to ask before we go there, in terms of finding what's the right way to sell the platform. Have you thought about doing these stores yourself for the clients and so delivering like full outcome
Do you want to
with the
take this,
platform?
Alim, or do you want me to? Because we've
I
had
was
arguments about this, actually.
yeah. I was always talking to Genevieve that like we need to eventually. I want to build that store, but Genevieve felt again like she's always saying like, hey, we're not ready for this. And like right now, I agree with you 100%. We align here because I know that to build a store is a lot of things need to happen, and a lot of things still like being on trust. It's like not digital information out there. And as a startups, we also need to be scalable. So it's really important for us like to keep on that like software scalable level. But eventually, I feel that we're not trying to like become a construction company that builds stores, but what we're trying to create like AI marketplace that connects all the dots together and that the store eventually will build. So we want to be the software that will outcome the same result as a construction company. So from this perspective, we just like we have that in our past, but we're not going to do that like on becoming like operational company.
Genevieve, would you like to argue that?
So no, my feeling is that, we're a software company. We're not a general contractor. We're not a project management firm. And that I'll just be completely candid. The amount of times that somebody has handed me over a store that I was really happy with was pretty low. Like you're always going to have problems. It's going to be over budget. It's going to be delayed. It's going to not look perfect. Like the people are going to be difficult to work with. There's always problems. And I feel like I'd rather focus on the problems that are associated with, building our tool, implementing our product. We have enough to worry about in that space and enough to focus on and enough value to provide without having to bite off, a bigger bite than we could possibly chew right now.
Yeah, I will like make that simple comparison. Like imagine like a junior project manager, he's starting building his first store. It might be happen like it's really well, and now he say like now I'm going to open my own general contract company, and I will do everything.
Excitement.
And
Yeah.
Genevieve is like experienced like project manager. He said like, okay, don't do that like yet, because I
Yeah.
build like thousand of that stores, and I can for sure say it's not that simple. So I feel that right now our AI is still in the process. It's like a very powerful, but we still need to like learn more about that.
And what's super exciting though is that when you've got the retailers, we also work with some contractors and some other clients as well. When you get AI talking to AI, that's when real magic happens. And that's what I find super exciting when we get
What
when
do
we're
you mean by
working
that?
with so for example, we're working with a retail client. We're also working with the general contractor. If they work together, all of a sudden, the bid package, you don't need to wait for the human to review it on the contractor side. Now the contractor's AI is reviewing it instantaneously and information can go back and forth really quickly. Like we see this a lot with onboarding our clients. We're moving at a really fast pace, but because, the sales cycle and, you need to get different people in the room and all the things, it takes time. It takes time to onboard. And if we didn't have any sort of holdups on our client side, we could be doing this, every week we could bring on a new company. But the fact is that, there's people that are still in the mix. So when you get your vendors and the clients all working with AI, things just happen instantaneously. And that's what I'm really excited for, a future where, we don't have to be waiting for comments. Things just happen. I'd love for building departments to be on AI. That would be a dream.
So in your case, so in the case of a contractor who is using the software, I guess everyone who is a stakeholder within the project will have to use the platform, right?
We actually focusing right now like on multi-site contractors and everything that is connected with multi-site. And yes, our goal is like to add team by team. So one of the things that we even building right now is like, because we're connecting with all that data, we can like define by AI who would be the early adopter inside the company. Because we know, for example, that Martin is like recently sent like 26 messages, so he is like tech savvy. But for example, like Genevieve, she just sent one messages, like and one email like per month, so she's probably not that tech savvy as Martin. So that's why we like trying to define who would be the early adopter in that company, who is like mostly create the digital assets inside that like box. So that's how we start like involving people, and then we actually trying to create like the first message. Like AI is thinking about it, saying like, "Hey Martin, you just recently sent like 25 emails. Most of them was like requests for site survey, for example. I prepared you the like the skill, the playbook, the workflow. So now you can like log in into the system and ask me to do that. Please try it." So now AI start talking to you, Martin, and it's starting like kind of like attracting your attention to start using AI.
Okay. Question about defensibility of what you both are doing. How defensible is your technology in the era of artificial intelligence, large language models, and yeah?
I feel it's very defensible, to be honest, and it's well like it's not because I feel that it's defensible for like couple of reasons. The first reason, and I think this is the most important one, we're not trying to sell AI. We're not trying to sell the tool. AI is just a tool, really. It's like a tool that like help you to become more efficient. What we're trying to like to sell and provide our customers methodology of how to use AI.
So business model actually, right here.
Yes, we actually like we're saying that like look how you can complete that task with AI. And there is no such information in the market. Even you have like OpenAI, if they even like everyone is connects all that the same tech, even they build all the same tech, you will still need to adopt and like create that like manuals and guidelines for users how exactly they start using that AI. And I feel that to show like our users, our industry, here is how AI could be like implemented in your current process. The methodology of like era of project manager with AI. This is our product. And from this perspective, like we feel very defensible because it's about relationship. It's about the trust that we're building. So this is one of the biggest like thing. From the tech perspective, there are also a lot of things that we are like building. So first of all is like mode, the data mode. So we integrating with all the internal data. The second thing is like a real-time data, like editing, because it's like real time. Even like OpenAI, we're building that habit to real time, like communicate with your data, edit that data, improve all that things. And the third, we have a network effect, because as we know that site survey, for example, or calculating budget, how to calculate budget for McDonald's store, we can easily retrain AI to like calculate the Starbucks like budget. And we're not using the data that McDonald's like use, for example. We use the skill of how to calculate budget for McDonald's store, and then using the same skilled agent, now you need to calculate how to calculate the budget for the Starbucks. So this is like a network effect of like the skills is also like create a huge moat for our business, for our AI agents.
If I compared you to Procore of store development, would you agree or disagree or add something?
I would kind of disagree, because I would say it more, we will more correctly say like the most experienced project manager who is using Procore, building connected in all the other software, and build the most like the like numerous number of like stores. So that would be like a great comparison.
Great response.
Hey listeners, I want to take a quick break to remind you about the Bricks and Bytes newsletter. If you're interested in learning about the technology shaping the future of construction, you won't want to miss the valuable insights we share each week. To get this exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today. Link is in the show notes. Back to the show.
Okay. So maybe let's go on to funding. So you recently raised pre-seed from Shadow Ventures and Sturgeon Capital. Yeah, tell us about it.
From London. Yeah, they're based in UK, by the way. Yeah, in London. So yeah, we raised our pre-seed round, led by Shadow Ventures, and I can say like KP and the whole Shadow team is like a great VCs who understand construction industry. And it's KP is now based here in Half Moon Bay, not that far from me. And I'd love to some time to meet with him for coffee to discuss. Like KP, tell me where is AI is going, where is the industry is going. So he's always sharing that. So it's more than just like investor; it's become a partner for us.
Mm-hmm.
And Sturgeon Capital is another great venture fund. So they also like supporting a lot, like they trying to help like in go to market, introducing for all the other funds. So for example, even like we have like 2 events here. First one is SF Tech Week. So we were hosting like AI in construction tech panel, and KP was one of the panelists, and one of the like Nas from Sturgeon. She also came here to support us. And on a TechCrunch, Nas, she was like standing with us on our booth,
Yes.
just like to help us like to build that relationship. So from this perspective, this is like a great VCs. But it's not just them. There are also like plug and play invested, most Big Sky Capital, and another fund is Llama Index, Llama Ventures. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Where are you spending money? What's the plan?
We actually raised quite a while, but we're spending the money mostly on engineering. This is one of the our main cost, because like building like state of the art AI, it's very expensive, and like hiring like the talents is like one of like the winning talents like race is one of the most costly thing that we're spending money on. And of course, we're spending on go to market. So Genevieve is attending all that conferences, everything. Like for example, we just recently was on Expex, retail spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go to market is very important as well.
It was actually super exciting. At one of the industry conferences, I was invited to do a keynote speech to talk about just in general AI for store development. And it was such a great honor to get to, get on stage in front of my industry peers. And it just meant so much to me. This one man stood up and at the end instead of asking a question, he just said, "Thank you. I finally understand how AI can help me like in my job." And so that's been really exciting to get to go out to these events and talk to people in the industry. And what was super meaningful about that too was in the audience was our champion from one of our biggest clients. And so she was there and she stood up and, said, "If anyone has any questions or anything, come talk to me." And there was actually more people went to go talk to her than they came to talk to me and Alim. So that to me was also really powerful and really inspiring. I just see such a bright future for the industry to, in adopting AI.
Okay, tell us maybe about the customers' feedback. You mentioned that you got some customers, and what is their feedback right now? Like, at what stage of deployment are you at with them? Is everyone in the business using it? So tell us about that.
Well, I'll let Alim give a more detailed answer, but I like to say, I want to highlight the best feedback that I have gotten from our clients is that they tell me, "Genevieve, I don't know how we worked without you guys." That is the best feedback to me. And that's how I feel. Like we just need to get our foot in the door, and really quickly, within a couple of months, these people don't remember how they used to work.
Yes, and I can only add that again, this is the third company that I built, and I made a lot of mistakes when I was built previous ones. And with this company, I said like everyone, like I don't want to build product because I think that like it should be built like that. I should like hear someone from that industry and hear like the customers what exactly they want, like how this AI should work. So that's why, for example, I spend weeks shadowing and looking at how exactly they're doing, how they spend that time, what they hate and what they love. Because it's also important, Martin, like to give not to automate something that they really love to do. and it's sometimes really hard. But it's really important. Like, oh, Alim, I really hate that. Like, can you do that for us? Yeah, sure, we can do that. Like, so people like to make the people love your product, you need to really understand like what exactly they and how they want it. And that eventually led for the feedback that people say like one of our customers, he called it that AI that we built Spike. So they even like have a name for them and say like, oh, I love Spike. It feels for them like that they communicating with their team member, and Spikes helps them like to decrease all that like tedious tasks. And on one of the demo that we showed, the guy was sitting there and say like, you actually showed me in 3 minutes the task that I'm usually spend 3 hours. So, and this is like super exciting thing that would really help, because at the beginning people scare, but then they start like feeling that and say like, oh, I had that task and I can do that in 3 minutes. I'd love to do that.
And I think
Well-
it's noteworthy too that everybody's getting use out of this. Everyone from the senior leaders to down to the doers out in the field. And obviously for the senior leaders, they're getting visibility, they're getting data and analytics. They know their reporting is actually happening. They're not having to pick up the phone to chase updates. But for the guys in the field, it's great for them too, because typically Martin, they're like taking their notes on the notebook. And I don't know about the type of projects you work on, but that's how it is for me. People taking notes on the notebook. I would do it too. And you go back to the hotel, sit at the bar, open up your computer, try to read your trick and scratch. And, now instead of having to go through that whole exercise, they're capturing their notes through AI on the job site. They're able to work with their assistant much more fast create their updates. And so now at the end of the day, they're able to go back to the hotel and, just recharge instead of having to translate and do reporting.
I'm actually very curious because I work on a few commercial projects here in London, a commercial like store development projects here in London. And my role is structural engineering. And one of them, I won't be mentioning the names of brands, they are very well known, but I remember we started talking about it last year, and by this end of December, the store needs to be open, end of December. So the program was around 13, 14 months. And I think there was around 6, 7, almost 8 months for the paperwork, to get the paperwork in. Yeah. And the time on the construction site, there's like a £3 million redevelopment. So large store in central London. So I was amazed when I heard that probably 60-70% of the time is to sort the paperwork, and 30-40% of the time is for the construction time. And I don't know what was the reality is in the US, but it was like for me, wow, that's pretty crazy, right? And most of the time should be spent on the construction side rather than allocating 60-70% on the paperwork. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
a
quite
great
as
question.
bad in the US, but it's still pretty bad. And that's why I made the comment about building departments getting, so here we have to go through, every jurisdiction has its own process for permitting, and they have their own time schedule. And so a lot of times, especially with, government cuts, these offices are only open a couple days a week. They've got a lot of things and you're just waiting for your permit because you can't start without it. So I feel you. That is definitely, that's definitely a piece of the headache. But like I said, so much of the of the administration, it just is all done by AI and it's able to be done instantaneously.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I was thinking about like AI in construction and like overall construction industry, I exactly was thinking the same, because retail stores is a race cars again, like, because if you're not all like if the store is not working, you're losing like money. So that's why it's probably the fastest construction
These are
project.
the most stressful projects I've worked on, I have to say.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But if you look in the residential space, you will see that it might be years that people preparing all the papers and all that things. But in the meantime, it's like a super important. It's already proven thing. For example, in China, they build skyscraper in 24 hours. Why? Because they already prepare all the steps.
Yeah.
And so far, when I was researching that space, I know that in that case, they know exactly and like, by second, where exactly the person should be. And there were like the person who is actually controlling that. So to make that happen, you need to spend a lot of time on pre-planning, on like preparation for the project. But once you have that prepared, it might be that you build like, the whole store in 24 hours because you already made that like, everything engineered.
Everything is mapped. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is mapped. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I believe that maybe with AI, we will unlock that type of productivity where the whole construction projects would be done in 24 hours and then 6 months for waiting for permits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess there's existing buildings kind of feature that have certain features as well. So that's kind of unknown until it's known. But I think actually in the US it's more structured so that you've got the data about how the building is built, rather than here in London. And I know that because the person I work with on these commercial projects, they are from Boston, and they said that it's impossible to think that in London people don't have data on the existing properties, how they were built, and you kind of try to like figure it out on the go when you start designing it. So
I guess maybe because of the age of the buildings there, or
yes, yeah, but still you should have some sort of record of that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I want to touch on go-to-market. How do you do your go-to-market within this niche space?
So we started from like, trying to like outreach industry professionals like Genevieve, and we start like, try to build relationship and create that advisory board, which I think one of the like the most important part like to any startup to start from, especially in B2B enterprise level. And then like Genevieve and KP and all the other advisors start suggesting us which conferences we should attend. So then we start like attending the conferences. So from this perspective, our go-to-market is like building trustful relationship with the industry professionals. And one of our advisor, for example, Paul Calderon, he's leading right now store development at Five Below. And he's a guy who was building targets. I think he's like spent 30 years in store development. And he know that all that guys from Walmart, Starbucks, Target, Costco. So all that other SVPs of real estate and construction. So building trust, make that type of people happy with our AI. This is our go-to market.
And of course, when I went to the first conference representing Surfaice last year, about a year and a half ago, we didn't have our tool fully built yet. We didn't have a lot of customers. We didn't have case studies. So my goal at first was to just try to build as many, new relationships as possible, reconnect with people I know. But we didn't have a case study to show a big retailer. And to get a big retailer to sign, it's a whole big corporation. You need to have a case study. You need to have how you're going to get the ROI, all of these things. So we didn't quite have that. So what I did was I said, why don't we first go out to all the vendors who work with these people peripherally? For example, like our first client from this exercise was a woman-owned construction company. I met the woman in the bathroom at a conference, and she said, Genevieve, I've always wanted to work with you. Are you still at 7-Eleven? And I said, no, but you can work with me in my new company. A couple of weeks later, they signed with us. They started working with us, and we were able to use that case study to then land a bigger client. So that's been our strategy. So we started working with all of like the architects, the engineers, the contractors, all the different people, the brokers who support the retail industry. And these people are already working with. And so now we're able to go to the clients and say, here's the proof of what we can do. And by the way, your contractor's already using this, your architect's using it. Don't you want to be using this too, instead of them getting all the benefit? So it's made it a lot. It's made it into like it's really exciting. There's a lot of hype right now around what we're doing. And so it's been good.
It's interesting that Genevieve mentioning, but I was just thinking about this. The construction industry is the only industry, one of the only industry where people like not care about the product, they care about the trust.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
oh, I see that you create the trust with that guy. That then mean like I can work with you, and we start like talking about the product for me. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just had a client call this
Yeah.
morning where it's a woman who I had known for about 10 years. She just joined a new company. And so she said, look, like we need to use, she's like, I don't know anything about her product, but I've worked with her for 10 years. I know she's good. I know she's on top of stuff. She's for real. And let's do this.
Yeah, I
And it
guess.
really goes so far. You know, even when
Yeah.
I was a project manager and I was leading construction, I told my team, don't go with the lowest contractor. If it's somebody you've never worked with before, and the guy who's built 50 of our stores already is giving you like slightly more in cost, it's probably because he knows something the other guys don't. And, you know, we can trust him and work with this person instead.
100% agree. Okay, I wanted to ask also about competition within your space. How do you see in view competition?
So I feel that the main competition, to be honest, is like the big companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and the whole AGI, because and anyone knows like how exactly that would work. That's why, for example, from our perspective, we're trying to maybe at the beginning we were thinking about our own LLMs, SLM specifically focused. Right now, it's waste of time. Right now, you need to build a system that relies on like the GPT-7 would be better than GPT-5. So that's why my product should become better with GPT, like the new version of GPT. So this is one thing. From other perspective, I also think that like Google, Microsoft, who is doing their own like Copilot studios and all that things, it's also like, you know, it's kind of a competitor for us. But in the meantime, startups who is also in that space, and there are like, you know, some great really startups. For example, Sarah from Trunk Tools, she's doing like a great job with like adopting AI for the construction industry. And there's like, you know, a bunch of startup in this industry as well. So it's not that the market is empty. There is a lot of like, you know, products on the market. And again, we just like feel that our unique approach here is that we specifically focus on retail store development. We specifically build vertically integrated AI, and we're ready to spend that like, you know, amount of time on building relationship. Because for example, because Google will not spend that time trying to understand how project manager at 7-Eleven I do the punch list. He just say like, hey, like, you know, here's my tools, here's what you need to do, here is like, you know, 5 pages instruction, here's like a 30 minutes video, and you can do it like something with you. But I think the value is like how we build a product and how specifically we focused on like the customer's needs.
Genevieve, anything to this?
You know, I completely agree.
Okay. How did you both figure out the charging, or how to charge the customers?
Well, that's something that we're still refining, to be honest. We want it to be easy for people to understand. So we started out with a monthly subscription, a flat fee.
Per seat or per business?
Because the benefit, like we need people to put all their projects, all their data, and all their team members in there. So I know for myself, when I'm paying per seat, I'm going to buy like 5 seats and I'm going to share those logins with multiple people.
Everyone.
That's not how we're going to be the most successful. So we don't want to charge by seat. We want them to have everybody to have their user to be using the system so that we can be getting that data and being able to circle it back so that it's actually useful. So again, like I said, they're capitalizing us against the project, so that's great. We are charging our current clients a monthly subscription, which is going well. But like as Alim said, we're working on a per project per month type of payment structure, so that way the cost will scale as their store scales, and then when their store numbers go down, so that way every year they would have, you know, an easy way to calculate their pricing.
And you're looking at construction value of the project, or that's not the factor?
We're not looking, to be honest, right now on the construction like project value and how complex it is. For example, if you're building Home Depot store, it probably like took you like, you know, 16 months, for example. But if you do like a small remodeling like the main team project, it could be like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it would be like, you know, 1 month. So that's why like this model like per project per month working best for us, because now we can help like, you know, our customers to work with it. And to be honest, like it's at at the back end, sometimes it's like, we spend more GPUs, we spend like less GPUs
Mm-hmm.
based on like, how complex is the data, how complex is like, the
Mm-hmm.
information that they provide with us, and how many of that data like we need to proceed through like to give like AI all the context. But it's irrelevant right now. Right now, mostly what we focused on, like the building the new habit of using AI.
Mm-hmm. How customizable
Oh, and I also
is the
just
word?
wanted to
Yep.
point out in that as well. Like, so I've worked in grocery, I've worked in luxury fashion, I've worked in gas and convenience. And those projects all have totally different dollar amounts, right? But there's the same number of milestones and data that you're tracking in a luxury retail build out as you are in a big grocery store. It's just different data and different touch points. But also a lot of it's the same. Like, you're going to bid the job no matter what. You got to create a budget no matter what. You need to process your change orders no matter what. So that's how we're looking at it from more of a project standpoint than a dollar amount standpoint.
Mm-hmm. And how quickly does it take for you to onboard a customer? And because you mentioned that the stores are obviously different and they have different, well, similar needs. But how difficult or easy it is to swap between one type of retail to different type of
Could I
retail?
take this one, Alim?
Yes, go on.
Absolutely. So I personally have worked in all different industries, and a lot of people do. You can go from building, if you know how to build a grocery store, you're going to be able to build a convenience store. It's very same skill sets. So what I like to tell our clients is we've spent the past year creating the best possible candidate that you could ever interview. But even the best possible candidate that you interview, he's not going to come in on day one and know how to do his job. You still have to train him on your policies and procedures and how you work. He already knows how to bid a job. He knows how to create a budget. He knows how to manage a project, but he doesn't know how you do it. So we're able to really quickly get our customers up and running because we already have all the skills developed, and then we just have to train it and customize it on how you bid a job, which is not drastically different than how somebody else does the same thing. It's just those little tweaks.
And this customization, is it done by obviously platform, then human from your team working on the platform with members of the from the customer, or how does this customization look like?
It's both. So I always say like, so when we start doing that, like, system, we gathered like, 100 questions, like that store development team usually ask, like internally themselves, they might ask like, what the question they have. And then we start reverse engineer that and see like what data structure like we need to have to answer that questions. And then we start reverse engineering like, okay, what exactly we need to feed to that data, like database. And that's how we start like the building the whole system. And now once we like connect with all that data, we're not just trying to create like AI that work with the file. No, we have data agents that converts all that unstructured data to structured data tables, databases. So now like we do the eval data set, like checking how good is AI in replaying these hundreds of questions. And for example, we can like get the result like, oh, AI is replying only on 60 questions. And now we go to deep dive, the human going deep dive into that, like, 40 questions that is not replied and trying to understand what's the problem with that. Like, so it might be a problem that AI data agents, like, parse that data and structure it incorrectly, or it might be that there is no that such data in that system. So in that case, we need to create a skill to gather that data and like, or rebuild up something. So getting back to your question, like how long did it take? It started like for the first customer, we spent like, 3 months to onboard them, like, and to set up the system. With the second customer, it's like less than a month. And like our recent, like, new skill we built like in 2 hours. So we feel it's like it's becoming like faster and
Collapsing to zero.
faster. Yeah, it's collapsing to zero. So the future is, I think that we actually signing Starbucks, we integrated all that data, paper data, scans, whatever, and like in 2 hours you just say like, hey, this is like Alim, like AI, I can like, reply on all that questions. I see that your projects in San Francisco is delayed for 2 months, but I find the permits in your inbox. Do you want me to send it? So all that thing could be done by AI. This is how we feel that it could be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, a last subject I want to touch on is Alim. You mentioned earlier that you see potentially competition coming from folks like OpenAI. Recently, hold that in the back of your mind. Recently, Procore mentioned that on their conference that they are releasing their agent. And there was in the industry, in the contact industry, there was on LinkedIn a conversation that someone suggested that companies like Trunk Tools
I saw
or
that too.
Data Grid might be in danger because Procore is taking the job.
But what I'd like
do
to
you?
say, though, is that Procore AI lives in Procore. It's not going to help you connect to Lucernix. It's not going to help you connect to Sitewise, CoStar, Smartsheet, everything else. And the number of retailers who actually have Procore are, I have never worked at a company that had Procore because it's expensive. And businesses are in the business. These businesses are selling clothing. They're selling groceries. They're selling fashion. They're selling whatever. They're not developers building stores, so they're not investing in that level of an IT solution at
That's
these
a
companies.
great insight.
But in addition, though, that lives inside of Procore. It's not going to capture all the other random files on people's computers and all the stuff that lives all over the place. Alim, do you want to add to that?
No, it was perfect answer. I
Yeah.
think.
And also I'll say too, Procore is designed to support on like the construction side specifically and for really complex projects, right? But if I'm building 200 of the exact same project, I don't need Procore. I don't go into depth like a construction company would building a skyscraper. Like I'm just covering like, is the lease signed, more surface level milestones that as the owner I'm tracking. So I personally, I read about that. I saw the thing about trunk tools and, I'd been following trunk tools. Obviously I saw that and I thought, wow, I'm glad that we are doing something different.
And this is when I was starting the company again. I feel that it's really important to create that network effect. And from this perspective, the companies like DataGrid, Procore, Trunk Tools, they are actually working with all the type of projects. For example, like Procore, I know, for example, they working with Safal. And Safal building skyscrapers and they building retail stores and malls. What we're trying to keep consistency in what and we're not trying to, for example, what's that Procore is selling. It's selling like project management, yeah. But to be honest, I feel that we're not trying to focus on specifically project management. We focus on building that retail store.
Business model helping the
and we're working with owner because we feel that they really care about it. They really care about to build it as fast as possible. So that's why it's really important for every startup to choose the right customer. And I feel that this was one of the most important decisions that we made.
Okay, Genevieve, Alim, thank you very much. I just wanted to maybe last one question is, where can people find out more about you, and have you got any initiatives that you wanted to share?
So we have a website, surfaice.pro. If they want to to see the demo, they can always request for the demo. I personally reply on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn is always available. Please send me connection request. Also send email m@surfaice.pro. It's very simple. Send an email. I have an agent that helps me to read all the emails, so no worries. I never miss that one.
And you can connect with me and follow me on LinkedIn. I respond to all my messages. I also put out a lot of content about AI and just, leadership and life in general. So I'd love for y'all to connect with me there. You can also send me an email at GD for Genevieve Davis at surface.pro. That's surfaice.pro.
Okay, great. And if you think about moving to across the pond and developing helping develop some stores here, that would be great. As I'm sure my colleagues who work on those would really, really appreciate. Yeah.
Actually, the customer that we're working on right now is JD Sports, and this is UK-based brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that they're already observing what we're working on here in US, and they
Mhm.
want us like another like customer that we're talking with. They're scaling right now to UK,
Mhm.
so we'd be happy to like
To
to
see.
help. Like yeah,
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. We can chat about that as well.
Yeah, this has been a
Yeah.
great
thank you,
discussion. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you
thank
very
you,
much.
thank you.
Mm.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.